Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now today what we're looking at is a 1995 Toyota Century, and if you're looking for the pinnacle of Toyota design and engineering, you're looking at it right now. This four-door executive saloon is probably one of the smoothest cars I have ever driven. And before we get into more details about the car, I did want to give a huge shout out to Adam at Soto Moto for giving me this opportunity to be able to drive this car. And if you're more interested in this car, you can actually find this on his site, and I'll make sure to link that down below for more information if you're looking for that. But anyways, what we'll be doing today is we'll be going over the exterior, the interior, as well as the overall driving experience, and my overall thoughts on what it would be like to own a Japanese executive sedan like this one. And as you can see, when you look on the outside of this Toyota, you'll be amazed at how much steel and chrome is present on this car. And everything is made with so much precision that you just really don't get to capture on camera. And when you do get an opportunity to capture on camera, it is really remarkable. Now, when we enter the back seat of this car, it's not going to be immediately noticeable that this car is jam-packed with so many different features. But I think first, the dead giveaway is going to be the armrest. Now, when you see the armrest, it just looks like a very large armrest, right? You wouldn't really think too much of it. But that's where you're wrong, because once you flip this open, you'll see all these different controls immediately come to life. Now, it's only made for the comfort of whoever gets to sit in this particular seat. As you can see, I can rest my arm very comfortably on this side, but if you were sitting on the opposite seat, you wouldn't get the comfort of being able to drop your arm like this and be able to use all of these controls. So something interesting to point out there. So this is really made for whoever is sitting in this particular seat. And what you get here is you get the ability to move either of the seats on both sides in the rear. You also get controls for the rear air conditioning, as well as what's ever being played on the radio. And then on top of that, it actually has a cassette player from the factory, which is so cool. And it's got all these little switches and stuff, and you're even able to hook up a microphone. So I believe that you'd be able to record something on here, but I could be wrong. So there's got to be somebody out there that knows what this is actually used for in terms of the microphone. But you get so many features right off the bat just in the armrest itself. And I just wanted to turn on the car so I can show you guys the ultimate party trick with this vehicle. And it's this seat in particular right here. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna pull this down, and it folds out flat, and it becomes a place for you to be able to put your feet through so that you can rest comfortably. And what I'll do here is I'm gonna also turn on the massage, because it would be nice to get a little massage going. And it's working. Oh my god, it actually works. And what I also need to do is I need to move this seat a little bit backwards, just so I have enough space. And I'll move this forward, and this whole thing is reclining as I'm moving it forward. And now we are in the ultimate luxury, as I just kick my legs back and have a grand old time in the back seat. Look at this. This is something else. Wow. I really don't want to get up now. This is really comfortable. Now, as we tuck this back away, there's going to be even more stuff up here, because there is more stuff that you can do with this car. Now, another thing that you're going to see right here is a vanity mirror. But as you can see, this doesn't just pop out, but this actually rotates. I've never seen anything like this. Apologies for the train that's coming by, but I've never seen anything like this, where it has a rotating rear vanity mirror so that anybody that's in the rear seats has usage of this. And on top of that, like I just mentioned earlier, this has massaging rear seats. So let's make our way over and check out the engine, shall we? Now when we make our way over to the engine, what you're gonna see is this is a 4-liter V8. And I think it was in the later generations that they actually had a V12 engine. So with this one, you get a little bit less cylinders, but something to note about this 4-liter V8 in particular is that it actually has hemispherical pistons. So for people that don't know about that, instead of the top of the piston being flat, the pistons on this engine actually are hemispherical. And there's some theories behind that around engine efficiency and things of that sort. And it's pretty common nowadays in more of the GM modern vehicles. I think that's a big selling point for them with the Hemis, but this was something that Toyota was doing in the 90s, which is pretty remarkable. And I will say that this engine is so smooth that I'm willing to bet if you laid a glass of water on top of it somewhere that was flat, that it would not even move. This is one of the smoothest engines I have ever driven, hands down, without a doubt. So, really worth mentioning here. And in common Toyota fashion too, this engine is extremely easy to access things, and it looks very easy to work on. So if you're handy with tools and working on cars, I'm sure you could put this car back together if it really needed any sort of maintenance. So that's something worth mentioning as well. But let's take this thing for a spin, shall we? All right, let's fire it up. Sweet. And when it comes to the air suspension, you have the option of keeping it in normal or in sport mode. Actually, that's for the transmission. And then this is gonna be for the air suspension on the other side. And everything is electronically powered. Of course, you can turn on the massaging seats if you'd like. And on the tachometer, it's telling us that we're cruising at about 850 RPM at idle, which is really low, but this engine is so smooth that it totally makes sense. And just another feature to point out too, that is something from 1995, is that these vents are actually oscillating from left to right constantly. So when the fan is on, these are actually turning as they go. And that's just something you really don't get to see in 90s cars. It's really notable just about how innovative all the stuff is here. And again, like I said earlier, all the trim pieces are perfectly aligned, and there's just like this higher standard of quality that you feel in this car coming down to everything. But I think that's enough rambling. Let's just drive this thing, shall we? Really just can't get over how smooth this car is. You don't hear any squeaks or rattles or anything like that. You don't really feel the engine working super hard. It's just like it's a very leisurely drive. And it's so easy to drive that you could literally drive it with a couple fingers. It's so simple. Of course, it's not a sporty driving experience, but again, it's not like leaning super hard left to right like, you know, maybe some of the earlier GM cars do. And there I go again. I was trying to signal, but I turned on the wipers. Since this car only has 50,000 miles, and given the fact that it is a Toyota, I bet you this car is going to be going for a really, really long time. And whoever ends up getting this car is genuinely going to enjoy it for what it is. I mean, it is such a wonderful drive. This would be something that you would want to take on a long road trip and just kind of kick back, especially if you're the backseat passenger. You really get to enjoy the drive. I mean, it is just something else back there. But even as the driver, I don't feel fatigued or anything like that. The car just kind of feels like it's doing what it was born to do. And it's just to cruise around. I have no real intentions of wanting to drive this car fast or hard. All I really want to do is just like waft around in it. I just want to cruise, even if it's at 20 miles per hour or 60 miles per hour. It just kind of has the same outcome, and it's just unrefined luxury, especially on the highway too. I'm sure that this is just an absolute cruiser. Something you could just turn the cruise control on and just kind of let it do its thing. And out of all the right-hand drive cars that I've driven, I feel like this one makes me feel the most comfortable for some reason. It definitely was a little bit of a learning curve when driving right-hand drive cars, but in this one, I don't think it really bothers me that much that I'm sitting on the other side of the road, even in America. It just makes me want to enjoy it a little bit more. I know you can go out and you can buy a Lexus LS 400 and, you know, maybe the engine and the engineering behind it is going to be relatively similar, but you're not even going to come close to the amount of features and the amount of charm that you're going to get like this car. This just feels so incredibly special. As you look out on the front of the hood, you can see both of the fender mirrors, and I don't know, there's something about it when you're driving this. It just feels so cool. Feel like a real executive. Can you imagine getting picked up in this as like an Uber ride or something? Wouldn't that be something? But I think I'm gonna end the video here. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.